engineering bay is prepped and ready.
Good. Seal all the ship's bulkheads. We cannot risk any accidental contamination. Once you...
Of course, Doctor. Jack, please enter the control room and the engineering bay below. The control room is right through this door. Sealing the engineering bay now. Engineering bay sealed.
Dr. Harlan? Any inspiring words?
No.
We all believe in you, Jack. To varying degrees.
Let's get started. What do I do first?
Please adjust the dials to connect the fuel cell conduits to the drive core. First conduit connection complete. Both conduit connections are complete.
Good. We are ready to release the ticks into the engineering bay. Once you engage the FTL, they should begin feeding on it and create an anomaly, just like before.
Jack, are you ready for us to release the techs?
Ready to proceed, Juno.
Acknowledged.
Were the lights supposed to turn off like that?
Don't worry. We're just rerouting power so the ticks can only feed on the FTL drive. Stand by. Releasing tick specimens.
Well, I certainly seem to have their attention.
Once you engage the drive, they should be drawn to the FTL. All systems are primed. Awaiting ignition. FTL drive engaged. Biomass FTL interaction confirmed. The ticks are affecting the drive stability.
Here goes. Stay safe, Jack.
Of course, Liv.
Anomalous readings detected.
Take care of him, Apollo.
I shall do my utmost, Captain.
Anomalous readings lightning.
Good luck, Jack.
Cover in Delta Squad. Delta 6 requesting assistance. Is severely irradiated. Shell integrity currently below 60%. Secured shelter, wreckage of the Kronos 2. If you're receiving this transmission, please respond.
We have arrived. What is your status?
The shell appears to be in one piece.
Good. We must keep in mind, this combat shell was not designed for biomass engagement. Any contact with the infestation will render us immediately inoperable.
Where should we begin searching?
Undetermined. I'll scan the area for identifiable landmarks.
There was a transmission from a Delta member as we arrived. Did you hear it as well?
Affirmative. They are continuing to broadcast. I'll patch them in now.
Kronos 2 wreckage. Currently assessing biotorpedoes in the area.
I recognize this unit as Delta 6.
Interesting. It appears this Delta 6 has already located several torpedoes. Reaching their location may be our most expedient option.
Is it possible to make contact from here?
Negative. There's too much interference in the signal. We should first clear ourselves of this debris, then see if the signal strengthens. However, we should check your equipment before we go. I will do my best to keep this expedient. Let's begin with your shielding. This unit has been optimized for combat scenarios and is capable of regenerating its shield without the use of external chargers. However, a significant delay is required for the process to begin after sustaining damage. You may need to exercise patience.
Understood.
Next is your armament. This unit is equipped with an M19C repeater, designation Pulsar. Jack, are you comfortable wielding a firearm?
I'm accustomed to operating new tools. I'm certain learning to use this armament will be no different.
Very well. I shall construct a brief simulation so that you may familiarize yourself with the device. Your armament is now unlocked. Open fire on the targets. Targets eliminated. Unfortunately, should we encounter ticks, it is unlikely they will be quite so docile. These targets should provide a close approximation to tick activity. As such, successfully hitting a given target may require you to aim ahead of its movement. The ionized bolts of your armament are surprisingly slow, though I suppose that is acceptable for weaponry of this century. Jack, fire continuously at this last target. Make no consideration for accuracy. Overheat detected. Notably, each firing of your weapon causes a portion of energy to be retained as excess heat. Without sufficient time to cool, this buildup will exceed maximum operating temperature, leading to an emergency venting cycle.
Can this be averted?
Yes, firing in controlled bursts is the most efficient way to do so. However, you may use the button on your wrist to manually vent any heat within the unit. But this choice should be made tactically. The weapon will remain inoperable while venting.
Understood.
Excellent. Lastly, we need to inspect your threat scanner.
It's what we'll use to scan the biomass's base genetic material, correct?
Indeed. However, until we locate a viable torpedo, we shall instead rely on its original functionality, identifying nearby hostiles. To that end, I have optimized the device's settings to our mission parameters. Once activated, it will emit a single sensor pulse, followed by a brief recharge cycle. Try doing so now. Hostile identified. A tick just beyond the bulkhead. It appears dormant for the time being.
Can it be avoided?
Given the surrounding topography, no. Though your strategy is sound, armament from this era won't be particularly effective against any form of the biomass.
Very well. I am ready to engage. Can you unlock the harness?
Done. Now that you are free, I must advise. Operating your firearm will produce substantial recoil. I strongly encourage you to brace by maintaining a firm grip on nearby surfaces.
Acknowledged.
Threat neutralized. Well done, Jack. Warning. I am detecting extreme levels of radiation in the surrounding area.
A Series 10 Echo unit shell from Delta Squad.
As anticipated, the biomass has been difficult to combat. I suspect we will find more losses as we continue. Shields at 50%.
Another shell from Delta Squad.
Damage is severe. An emergency reboot would have been required. Shields at 95%. The wreckage ahead contains a shielded view pane. It should offer full protection while allowing us to identify the source of radiation. Shields at 95%. That power cell is temporarily distracting the tick. direct hit to the cell from your pulsar would likely cause it to detonate. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. The debris field ahead offers far less protection from radiation. Extra precaution will be needed to stay out of the light. Furthermore, I am detecting a significant biomass presence. I strongly advise frequent use of your threat scanner to plan an optimal route.
Acknowledged.
Warning to any receiving. Hostile equipment in the area designated biotorpedo. Devices will seek vessels. Proximity detonation is triggerable even by personnel. Recommend vessels maintain minimum safe distance of 100 kilometers. Personnel should evac immediately.
It would appear Delta Squad has become familiar with the operation of the torpedoes. Perhaps that is what caused their vessel to crash.
Given that they began investigating the torpedoes in close proximity, that result is highly probable.
An energy pulse from the anomaly.
Is it still stable?
I believe so, at least relatively. Nonetheless, we should remain focused on finding a torpedo if we hope to do so before the anomaly collapses. Shields at 95%.
An activation pod.
Consumed for its energy. The corresponding member of Delta Squad must be unable to reboot. They should exercise extreme caution.
Operational status report. Delta Squad operating at minimum capability. Activation pods are offline. Delta Actual and Delta 9. KIA. Delta 13. MIA. Delta 6. Active, but unable to perform reboot protocols. If you are receiving, forward to Titan Command with authentication code. Gamma 732.
Apollo, should we respond?
Negative. The interference is still too great. Nonetheless, I will continue monitoring the situation.
Yet another Delta. It seems the battle here did not go well.
Indeed, it is impressive that Delta 6 remains operational at all. Shields at 95%.
Another pulse.
Magnitude minimal. I believe we still have ample time before our forcible return to the future. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 95%. There is a faint distress signal emitting from a cavern just ahead. Its frequency is similar to Delta 6's earlier transmission. We should investigate. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. We need to reach the distress signal. It's somewhere within the cavern ahead. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 30%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%.
Another pod.
I will ensure that a similar tactical error is not made with our pod.
How?
I am an advanced tactical AI. Between situational analysis, predictive heuristics, and extensive experience, I am confident my results will exceed those of my ancestors. Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%.
The Estrella appears to be the source of radiation.
The main reactor. I estimate it will continue burning for several months. Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%. Distress signal located.
It's a CubeSat, one of Delta Squad's recon units.
It appears to be in need of our support.
Delta Unit, I'm picking up your signal in proximity to Reconnaissance Satellite 3. Is that you, 13? Or was it Jack?
Jack, we have insufficient time for complications. We should keep our relation to this combat unit as simple as possible. I will conduct all communication with you privately, and I must insist we maintain the persona of Delta 13.
Very well, Apollo. Delta 6, this is Delta 13. I read you. ReconSat 3 was engaged by multiple hostiles. I moved to assist.
I see. 13, your return is peculiar, but appreciated. It appears ReconSat 3 would not have survived its perimeter sweep without your aid. Though, what is your status? Is your pod operational?
Affirmative. All systems nominal. Rally at your position.
Acknowledged. ReconSat 3 will lead the way. Destination, Kronos 2 Bridge. I will require your assistance in assessing the bio-torpedoes.
Acknowledged. We are en route. 13 out.
Well done, Jack. Your replication of tactical speech was convincing.
My experiences with Liv have taught me many things. It would appear that improvisation is one of the most useful.
Agreed.
ReconSat 3, I can see your signal light from here. Proceed with caution. There are hostiles. Interference from the anomaly. Delta 13, status. Are you experiencing malfunctions again?
Negative. No malfunctions detected.
Acknowledged. Proceed with caution. There are hostiles in the area.
Understood.
ReconSat 3 is detecting a nearby threat. Advise clearing the area before you proceed.
Threat resolved.
From what I can discern, I believe that is the Kronos 2's bridge.
Additional threats detected. I recommend enacting the sweep and clear protocol.
Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%.
13. Secure the area and proceed to the Kronos 2 bridge. I require your assistance.
All clear. We should keep moving. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%.
It appears you've arrived here intact. Well done.
We need to locate the torpedoes as soon as possible.
Thank you, Delta 6. We should continue our mission immediately.
Agreed. Primary objective: threat assessment of hostile devices. Secondary objective: establish a warning beacon for passing vessels.
You are unable to reboot, correct? Perhaps I should take the primary objective.
Agreed. A further encounter with the bio-torpedoes would likely result in operational failure on my part. However, I can still provide some assistance. By leveraging the Kronos 2 systems, I have already performed a sensor sweep. In doing so, I have identified a large number of active torpedoes in a nearby clearing. The results are available here, on the holotable, if you wish to review them.
Can you push the objective to my ARM computer?
Affirmative. I've also included the clearing's coordinates as the associated location marker, should you need it.
Acknowledged.
You may proceed through here to reach the clearing. I will begin efforts toward our secondary objective shortly. Report back here once you have completed your assignment.
Copy that.
Interference from the Astraea's radiation will continue beyond the arrival of the Ithaca. It is unlikely Delta 6's secondary objective will be accomplished.
We are fortunate to have their assistance, though. Locating torpedoes has saved us considerable time.
Agreed. The alignment of our objectives is fortunate indeed.
Delta 6, you reactivated Kronos 2 sensors to obtain these readings.
Correct. As you know, the R&D priority protocol indicates we must collect detailed information firsthand. These readings are merely a foundation for your assessment.
Of course.
Please avert your headlamp. The ocular overload protocol is not currently applicable. Please point your headlamp in another direction. 13. I request you deactivate your headlamp. It is obscuring my vision. What purpose does this inspection serve? Would you kindly deactivate your headlamp? Thank you, 13.
Apollo, if Delta Squad was not able to safely perform their assessment, how will we collect our data on the base genetic material?
Unlike the rest of Delta Squad, you have my assistance. I will bring the entirety of my electronic countermeasure suite to bear against the torpedoes. I am certain I will be able to disable their proximity detonators.
Fair enough. I suppose an advanced tactical AI is quite capable of tipping the scales.
Indeed. To that end, I shall now reconfigure your threat scanner for inspecting the torpedo incubators. Stand by. Reconfiguration complete. Your threat scanner should now be able to generate a detailed mapping of the biomass's base genetic material, though the range of the instrument has been somewhat diminished.
I suppose that's a trade-off we'll have to accept.
Indeed. The anomaly is becoming more active. We need to hurry. Dr. Harlan and the captain may be close to having expended the fuel cell.
A biomass torpedo, already detonated. Is there any value in scanning it?
Negative. Dr. Harlan has already gleaned as much as possible from such specimens.
Apollo, what makes the base genetic material no longer viable once a torpedo detonates?
Dr. Harlan's findings indicated that a sort of catalyzing substance is introduced, causing the base genetic material to rapidly form into the spores characteristic of detonation. Shields at 95%. Shields at 50%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%.
Apollo, I've located a torpedo. Is this close enough to scan?
Not here. I've connected conduits from the Kronos activation bay to a mobile reactor. I believe I can repurpose some of the bay's components to act as a warning beacon. With sufficient power, it may be able to overcome the interference.
Another unusable torpedo. I hope they have not all detonated since I was last here.
The odds are actually in our favor. As the Estrella was attacked, I deployed countermeasures. I was able to nullify roughly 37% of the incoming salvos, all of which then traveled to the anomaly with the Estrella. Therefore, I anticipate approximately 272 undetonated torpedoes are scattered throughout the sector.
That is impressive. Both the capability of your defense and the sheer volume of incoming fire you were faced with.
Given what I have learned since then, I believe I could now achieve a 72% defense rate in the same scenario.
Perhaps after we deal with an undetonated torpedo, you'll learn even more.
Indeed. I anticipate achieving a defense rate of 100%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%.
Apollo, is this range sufficient for a scan?
It should suffice. However, the torpedo shielding is denser than anticipated. For a successful scan, it appears we'll need to expose the base genetic material. I believe that by interfacing with the torpedo, I should be able to reveal the incubator at the forward end.
Do you need me to do anything?
Possibly. I cannot be certain until I have actually accessed the torpedo's systems. I advise maintaining full tactical readiness.
I am uncertain what tactical readiness implies.
Apologies. Simply be ready for anything.
Understood.
I will begin once you designate the incubator for scanning.
13. I now have the beacon powered. Unfortunately, the range is being severely limited by radiation and interference from the anomaly. I will attempt to boost the signal, though success appears unlikely.
Copy that, Delta 6. 13 out.
Jack, report which incubator you're prepared to scan.
This incubator appears viable.
Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Interfacing now. This is more complex than I had.
Apollo?
The torpedo's defense protocols have activated. It has locked the incubator and is attempting to power its main drive. It's beginning launch procedures. I will stall for as long as possible.
How much time do we have?
Not long enough to discuss it. I'm opening access hatches on the front end. Jack, the anomaly is pulsing regularly now. It must be close to collapsing.
Override activated.
Perfect. Take care of the one on the opposite side as well.
Second override activated.
Well done, though the launch procedure is still online. Perhaps we can overheat the main drive. Enabling maintenance mode gave us access to the torpedo's cooling cells. Remove them. The cells are locked behind a protective housing. Lower it.
Cells removed.
Perfect. You will need to remove the second array on the opposite side as well. Jack, the launch procedure is nearing completion.
Additional cells removed.
The drive is beginning to overheat, but the launch sequence is still active. Jack, it's launching. Get clear of the torpedo immediately. Fortunately, I believe there are additional torpedoes in the vicinity. What we learned here will make us more prepared for a second attempt. Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%. Shields at 95%. The anomaly is likely to collapse very soon.
I know, Apollo.
Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%. Shields at 95%. Shields at 95%. Dr. Harlan and the captain must be doing all they can, but we likely don't have much time left. Shields at 95%. Shields at 30%. We can't have much time left.
Incubator located.
Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
I believe I may be able to stall the launch procedure for a greater duration, but expediency will remain critical.
Understood.
Initiating interface program. I'm in. My countermeasures are holding, but you'll need to trigger the maintenance mode immediately.
One down. Maintenance mode activated.
Indeed. The cooling cells are now exposed. Remove them to trigger an overheat. The cells can't be removed without lowering their housing first.
Cooling cell array clear.
On to the second level.
Cells clear.
The overheat process has initiated. The drive housing is open. Destroy the main drive. The launch sequence is nearly complete. Launch procedure complete. Fall back. Though we were unsuccessful, I have learned much more about the launch procedure. I should be able to stall it further on our next attempt.
Apollo, how much time?
I'm unsure, but it can't be long.
Incubator reached.
Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
I am uncertain how many torpedoes remain.
Then we have to make this one count.
Agreed. Beginning interface program. Manual overrides exposed. Awaiting maintenance mode activation. On to the opposite side now. Cooling cells are being exposed now. The cells can't be removed without lowering their housing first. Now for the second array of cells. The overheat process has begun. The drive is exposed. Destroy it.
Main drive destroyed.
Launch sequence averted. That finally did it. I am able to unlock the incubator now. And we should do so quickly. It appears we may not have much time.
Incubator exposed.
Excellent. We should begin the scan immediately. Scanning.
Apollo?
Imprinting now. Should not be much longer. Just a moment longer.
Apollo!
Data secured. Well done, Jack.
I suppose now we should simply wait for the anomaly's collapse.
I believe so, yes. It does appear to be fairly unstable at this point. I estimate no more than a few minutes remain.
Very well.
Perhaps there is a way we could signal the Doctor and Captain Rhodes that we are ready to return.
Were that viable, I would have expected them, or you, to have already suggested a means for doing so.
Certainly. However, I was attempting to prompt one of your creative solutions.
I see. The anomaly is going to close any moment now.
Preparing for return displacement. Jump imminent. Jack, are you here as well?
Surprisingly, yes.
Surprising indeed. Our plan was developed under the requirement that the anomaly's collapse would return us to 2537. Had this outcome appeared likely, I would have developed a contingency.
Could the Doctor and Liv reopen the anomaly?
Uncertain, but the probability is low. The necessary resources were almost undoubtedly consumed just to reach this point. And without you, I don't believe they have a safe means for gathering more.
13. Now that the anomaly has subsided, I have run an additional test of the beacon. Radiological interference is still too significant. Nonetheless, the beacon is prepared to transmit continuously once the radiation subsides. As such, I am now shifting my priority back to the primary objective. What is the status of your assessment?
Assessment complete.
Well done. Unfortunately, our lack of extended range communication leaves us unable to deliver your work to Titan Command. Therefore, we must enact the Message in a Bottle protocol. Report back to me in the activation bay so that we may discuss the details.
Jack, assisting Delta 6 may be our best solution at this point. Both of Delta Squad's objectives are still viable, though unlikely. The radiation may subside in time for the beacon to warn the Ithaca.
And if it doesn't?
Then we follow protocol.
The Message in a Bottle protocol.
Yes, it is a standardized Atlas procedure. In short, Delta 6 intends to store our assessment in a secure device until it can be recovered.
That information would disrupt the events of this timeline.
That is the intention, to prepare humanity to defeat the biomass sooner.
But then what happens to Liv?
We have no way of knowing. Our own limited experiences are the only concrete information we have regarding time travel. Simply put, there are too many confounding factors to even make an assessment.
I see.
It is, however, possible that once events here stabilize, we will be able to obtain help in returning to the future. Therefore, I advise we wait until the Ithaca or other Atlas personnel arrive. We can then reevaluate.
Very well then, we wait. I will inform Delta 6.
You've returned. Let me know when you are ready to commence.
Apollo, what are the odds of this beacon successfully warning the Ithaca?
Considerably low. My estimates indicate the Estrella will continue burning beyond the arrival of the Ithaca, thereby blocking the signal. We can only be certain by waiting for that event to occur, though.
Let's begin.
Very well. Your new shell is right over there, awaiting your transfer.
My new shell?
Correct. Protocol dictates we should place the assessment data in the most secure storage solution available, Tier 6 or higher. That Series 11 shell should do nicely.
That should make waiting for the Ithaca far simpler.
Understood, 6. I will transfer when ready.
Acknowledged. I will attempt further optimization of the beacon in the meantime.
I'll prepare the transfer. Initiate through your ARM computer when you're ready.
Transfer appears complete. Please confirm, 13.
I am online.
Acknowledged. You are now integrated into the activation bay's power grid, which I have connected to a mobile reactor. It should provide ample power for both you and the beacon, especially once you've engaged your hibernation protocol. I will do my best to keep you and the power supply safe.
Acknowledged. Delta 6, will you let me know if the anomaly reappears?
Peculiar, though prudent. Very well. Initiate hibernation when ready.
I've set the protocol for timed disengagement so that we may awaken for the Ithaca's approximate arrival.
Excellent. It is unlikely anyone else will arrive in the meantime.
Indeed. Ready when you are, Jack.
Good luck, Delta 13.
Automated nav transponder. Vessel entering Saturn orbit. Preparing for course correction burn. Destination, Earth. End of transmission.
Status?
Unfortunately, it appears the radiation has not yet subsided. Unless Delta 6 managed to improve the beacon, the Ithaca will not be warned.
Delta 6, this is Delta 13. What is your status? Delta 6, status.
I'm not picking them up on sensors either. However, there is a high-gain broadcast coming through. From the Ithaca. I'll patch it in.
This is the SCI Ithaca automated nav transponder. Correction burn initiating. 3, 2, 1.
The vessel is passing by on its way to Earth.
Then, as anticipated, the beacon has failed. Effectively, we are witnessing the origin of the biomass outbreak.
Correct. This does appear to be the final moment from which the ensuing series of events could be changed. A tipping point, if you will.
What should we do now?
Without Delta 6, delivering our data on the base genetic material is far less tenable.
How so?
Simply put, we are back to not knowing what happens next. An Atlas team could arrive within the hour, or within a year.
Or never.
Precisely. Delta 6 would have been able to assist such a team in finding us while we're in hibernation. But without that, we must err on the side of extreme caution.
Then, we should focus on returning to live.
Possibly. The main issue is the lifespan of that mobile reactor. At current operation, it should last roughly 50 years. If we were to minimize the beacon's output, we could last roughly 500 years. But then I doubt anyone would find us.
What has our best odds for success?
Given that it is uncertain a cure could be developed with current technology, bringing the data back to Dr. Harlan certainly is a more reliable target. But how will he find us?
He probably won't. But Liv will.
Yes. She'll search for us once we fail to return. In fact, if we altered the beacon's message to one she would uniquely recognize.
And time its broadcast to resume when she would start searching.
Then we should be easily found, with power to spare. Pausing beacon now. I'll set it to resume shortly after when we would have disappeared. Beacon set. The next time we awaken, it should be due to Captain Rhodes having received our message. Initiate hibernation when you're ready.
Earth has been quarantined. Passage to and from is prohibited until further notice.
Jack, listen.
Message to all colonies. Do not, I repeat, do not attempt passage to Earth. Any and all traveling vessels, avert course to your nearest off-world settlement. All passage to and from Earth is prohibited until further notice.
It's a distress call from Earth.
And not the only one. I'm intercepting countless transmissions from ships disobeying orders, fleeing Earth.
We know every major event of the next 400 years. There must be some way to help.
We're already doing everything within our power. We should conserve energy, Jack. Reinitiate hibernation when you're ready.
Apollo, what is happening?
We're passing through a debris cloud. It is mostly comprised of small particulates of rock and ice. But sensors indicate a denser cluster on collision course.
How long before it reaches our position?
We have approximately 20 seconds before impact. However, the trajectory places the affected area outside our immediate position. We will experience some impact tremors, but this bay should provide adequate protection.
Impact imminent. Collision event in 3,
2, 1.
Tremors subsiding. Minimal damage to the activation bay.
You were saying?
The impact appears to have destroyed the mobile reactor.
We still have 200 years before we reach Lib and Harlan. How long will our remaining power sustain us?
My revised estimate gives us about a decade before full power loss, even in your system's suspended state. Our only option now is to initiate a complete shutdown, to leave all remaining power for the beacon when it restarts in Harlan's time.
A complete shutdown would cause all non-essential data to be purged.
Yes, but I should be able to preserve your critical memory banks, including the biomass data imprint. But as long as the distress call reaches the Doctor and Captain, they can retrieve this shell and transfer your preserved memory core. Good luck, Jack. Disabling all non-essential subsystems. Goodbye.
Apollo.
Initialize neural matrix transfer. Verify hardware connection. Okay. Mapping core protocols to target.
How much longer?
The transfer should go much faster now that we've finally isolated his core protocols.
Atlas Intelligence Systems. Artificial Neural Matrix version 11.312. Initialize boot sequence.
This is it. I think he's waking up. Jack?
It worked. I did it.
Well, you certainly did something.
The scan data, did you?
Yeah, we got it.
Dr. Harlan is already in the lab developing a countermeasure.
But not there for hours now. I think you gave him a lot to unpack. You did good, Jack. Come on out. We'll see how it's going.
The anomaly. It collapsed.
Yes, we suspected as such.
I don't know what happened.
It was us. We fried the FTL. We wanted to give you as much time as we could. But we let it run too hot for too long.
It appears they've already started another test. We'll have to wait until they finish.
Right. When it happened, you know, when the FTL collapsed, I thought...
You thought I wasn't coming back?
Yeah.
So did I.
I was almost okay, you know? With being stuck in this crappy future. So long as it was you and me. But when I saw that FTL burn out, and you didn't come back, just... don't ever do that to me again.
I'll do my best.
Stand by. I'll unseal the door.
Narrow the operation by 0.37 angstroms and learn the model again.
Affirmative. Stand by.
What?
Dr. Harlan.
Ah, you're here.
Surprisingly, yes.
Well, you've been nothing if not surprising.
Where are we on the cure?
I was right. The data your android retrieved from the past was precisely what we needed to complete the gene sequence. We're running one more test to be sure. But I think we may have a solution.
That was fast.
From where I'm sitting, it's about 4 centuries overdue.
I would think by now we can all agree time is a relative construct.
What's that?
New parameters are set. We're ready to run the next test.
Do it. Give me real-time status on the monitors. This is it.
Treatment successful.
It worked.
It worked.
Just like that.
It's right there on the monitor. 0 metabolic activity. We did it.
Congratulations, Doctor.
We should refrain from celebrating just yet. We still need to determine how the treatment affects human subjects.
You really think there's that big of a risk?
It's possible. We can't know for certain until we conduct a proper test.
Apollo's right. We need to run a human trial. Juno, prep the biobed. I'll feed you the parameters.
Affirmative, Doctor.
What do you think you're doing?
Taking my medicine.
What about Olivia?
Once we're certain the cure works and is safe, then we will administer it to the captain.
In what reality does it make any sense for you to go first?
This isn't a discussion. I have to be the one. Chasing down this cure has been my life's work.
Right. And if something goes wrong, we're going to need your brain to fix it.
Captain Rhodes is right, Doctor. If you die, no one here would be able to carry on your work.
It's got to be me.
I agree. Liv is the more rational choice. However, under the circumstances, I find myself compelled to ignore rationality.
It's okay, Jack. This is the right call.
Juno, retract the emitter array.
Tell me how this is going to work?
We expose the biomass in your system to a low-level energy pulse of a very specific wavelength. Absorbing this energy will effectively terminate the biomass's metabolic processes, causing it to wither and die.
Think of it like a self-destruct command embedded in the biomass's base DNA.
Whoever designed it knew what they were creating and wanted a way to stop it if it ever got out of control.
Is this going to hurt?
If I said yes, would it change your mind?
Okay. Let's do it.
I want to take a moment to triple-check the math before we begin.
Whatever you have to do.
I'll let you know when we are ready. Juno?
Yes, of course.
Jack, give me your hand. It's okay to be scared.
Was that intended for you or me?
Yes. Jack, look at me. This is going to work. Oh God, now don't you start. Go on. It'll be alright.
Captain Rhodes? We're ready if you are.
I'm good. Let's go.
Confirmed. Initiating counterpulse emission now.
Oh,
Liv.
it's alright. I'm okay.
Vital signs are stable. Metabolic pathways in the infected cells are failing.
It's working.
Oh.
Cellular saturation in 10 seconds.
Are you sure you're all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
That's it. Shut it down.
Lynn, are you all right?
I'll say one thing. I'm never going to complain about those fabricators again. Well, what's the story? Did it work?
Go ahead. Tell her.
Infection cleared.
Oh my god.
All traces of the biomass forms have been neutralized.
Apollo, is it acceptable to celebrate now?
It certainly appears so, yes.
Harlan, thank you.
Yes. Well, good then. So long as we are just floating here, do you mind if we keep walking? Now that we know the counterpass works, we should start working on better ways to administer it.
Harlan?
We'll need both focused and wide dispersion methods.
Dr. Harlan.
Let's draw up some schematics and feed them to the fabricators.
I already have a number of ideas that I think could serve.
Dr. Harlan.
What?
The treatment, Harlan? You still have to undergo the procedure.
Right. Yes, of course.
Juno, can you prep the bed for another dispersion?
It's already done.
Very well.
Would you like Jack to hold your hand as well?
Start the procedure.
Very well. Stand by.
Harlan, are you alright? Juno.
Vitals nominal. Blood pressure slightly elevated, but still within acceptable limits. Heart rate 103 and rising.
Harlan?
Keep going.
Blood pressure spiking.
10 seconds to cellular saturation.
Something's wrong.
5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Shutdown.
Vital stabilizing.
Well, I've had worse experiences. Though at the moment I can't really think of any.
Harlan.
What?
Captain Rhodes?
What is it? What's wrong?
It didn't work. The biomass survived the treatment.
Harlan.
Juno, get me out of here.
I'll reset the biobed. We can try again.
No.
Perhaps the metrics were somehow altered between the two tests.
Juno.
Or maybe some cases simply require more than one cycle before clearing.
Juno, stop.
This isn't right. The treatment should have cleared both of us.
Apollo.
Yes, Doctor?
The biomass sample we were testing earlier, where was it from?
That particular sample was extracted from the wreckage of the Estrella.
So it was the more primitive strain.
That is correct.
I need a specimen from this time period. Something off the station.
I believe there is a sample from the research facility already seated in the cradle.
Rotate the sample into position.
Affirmative.
Alright, run the test again. Same parameters as before.
Understood. Ready to execute.
Do it.
It's working. The sample is withering.
Wait.
Treatment. Ineffective.
Yeah, you don't say.
The biomass from this time period must have developed some form of inherent resistance to the treatment.
That would be my conclusion as well. The treatment eliminates the biomass from the past, but any form from this time period, it will only paralyze. Though at the moment, I can only speculate as to why this might be the case.
It's because it evolved. The biomass in the Astrea is still developing, still vulnerable. But the strain from this time period has been running rampant for 4 centuries. Nora was right. There really is no stopping it.
The biomass really evolves that quickly.
That's practically its defining characteristic.
Well, that and its tendency to indiscriminately devour everything it touches.
So that's it. We failed.
No. We didn't fail.
Harlan?
Does he want us to follow him?
I have no idea. But I'm going to. Harlan?
We didn't fail. We just learned something new. We learned there's a window, a certain point in time wherein the biomass was still vulnerable, when it could be stopped.
Yeah, that point's long past.
You're right. If only we had some way to travel back in time.
Transmitting Jack's protocols back in time won't help us here, Doctor.
It's also impossible without a working FTL.
For that plan to work, Jack would have to physically bring a counterpulse device back with him. Something he can't do digitally.
I'm not talking about digital time travel.
Oh, I see.
Where have I seen this before?
Apollo.
This is one of the Astrea's FTL drives. You and I encountered them briefly while retrieving a fuel cell from the ship's wreckage.
What do you think, Apollo? Could it work?
I'll need to run some models, but it's possible.
What the hell are you two on about?
I'll explain everything once Jack and I are on our way to the Astrea.
We'd best get moving.
Oh, hold on! No one's going anywhere until one of you gives me something resembling an explanation.
Captain Rhodes.
No, if you want to send Jack back out to that plague-infested garbage scow, you have to at least give a reason.
And we wait. But the longer we wait, the less chance we have to succeed. Captain, I know I've already asked far too much of you both, but I have taken this as far as it can go. I need your help to finish it.
Oh. What do you need us to do?
Jack, you and I will make our way back to the Astrea's drive bay. You'll need my assistance to unlock the FTL housing. Captain Rhodes, if you would remain here with Dr. Harlan, there's some specialized equipment you'll need to fabricate and assemble.
Oh, brilliant.
Opening airlock.
Jack, good luck. Let us know when you've reached the Astrea.
Copy that.
Airlock cycling. Stand by.
Watch yourself over there, Jack. Don't let those ticks give you too much hassle.
I'm actually more concerned that I'll somehow damage the FTL and destroy the ship.
And now so am I.
No need for concern, Jack. I'll be there to supervise. I've never had an FTL overload on my watch.
Really only takes one, though, doesn't it? Just be careful, Jack. And before you ask, yes. That's an order.
Exiting portside airlock.
We need to make our way back to the Astrea, to the auxiliary drive bay.
All right, Apollo, you're on your way. I'm waiting for my...
explanation.
We all agree simply transmitting Jack's consciousness into the past won't work this time. However,